My name is Ewan Roper and my student ID is 50301380. So this is my FMP presentation. The working title is Happy Pill. Again, may change somewhere later down in development. What is the plot for Happy Pill? Main character called Darren is visiting his local doctor's office for a checkup, and his doctor gives him some experimental pills for his hallucination issues. The main body of the story, Darren starts to take the pills, but instead of calming down the issues, the pills may have seemed to make the hallucinations worse. Ending, basically, he's gotten too addicted to the pills, and he's finished the cycle of the pills within maybe like a few days. And the hallucinations are getting worse and worse, and they're taunting him. So the treatment, yes, I've done a lot with the treatment. So the genre is short film, but will include tension, horror, and elements of dark comedy, but will be used sparingly. The target audience will be to the 20 and 40-year-olds of both the male and female demographic. The outline, again, as I said, pretty much Darren is at his doctor's office, and then he takes some pills and so on and so forth. The main character background, Darren, male, haven't really decided for his specific race, so I've just kept it as white. He's 25 and an unknown job, because the job is basically not the main focus. It's about him and his personal struggles with these experimental pills and his hallucinations. And there will be a roommate that I've decided to add in. Again, gender is undecided. Again, 25 job, unknown. The roommate pretty much supports Darren in every little aspect in his life. Visual elements, lighting, mainly natural light, but in some scenes there'll be 3-point light to help emphasise and dramatise a scene. Camera, there'll be tracking, extreme close-ups, long shots, mid-shots, tripod shots in handheld. Editing, there will be split screen, and I've also used warm and cold colour correction, and also slow burn character reactions, like, for example, Shining, where I used like scares first, and then they showed the actual scare in the next shot. Setting, claustrophobic rooms, but also have a homely feel, but yeah, also somewhat uncomfortable. Actors, two male actors for Darren and the Doctor, and I have not decided the gender for the roommate. For props, there'll be a pill bottle, fake blood, clipboard, drinking glasses, maybe some like Tic Tacs for pills, because I'm not going to be able to buy a shit of pills because they're going to be too expensive. And costume, it'll be casual clothes, same with the roommate. However, with Dr. Burns, it's going to be very smartly dressed, like what you would normally see in the doctor's office, where it's like blazer and stuff like that, and maybe a clipboard. Logline. A man takes experimental pills to help subdue his hallucinations, but they fail to help him. So that's pretty simple and nice little sentence right there. Selling point of the FMP, it's basically to comment on how doctors to this day, it's common practice to use human experimentation to test different drugs or different forms of medication. I've also had personal experience with this with family members who've gone through like sorry about that, who've gone through experimental things. Yep. Style, tone, and format of the FMP. The tone of the FMP will have a sinister feel. However, there will be a few jokes thrown in there in order to lighten things up and kind of help things flow a little bit better. The style, I've been watching a lot of Fargo, both the film, the 1996 film, I believe, and the TV show from 2014 to current day. There will also be some gothic Tim Burton stylization in that. The format will be 10 minutes, will be a 10-minute short, and again, we'll comment on real life situations. Here are some of the influences for the FMP, Bates Motel, Shining, Fargo TV, Get Out and Suspiria. So I've just put a little few, got a few pictures on there for reference. And here are the mood boards. So I wanted it to be as sinister as I could. I wanted it to be as, without swearing, effed up as possible. So I feel like these kind of this mood board kind of reflects that. So the outside connections. Emily Cochran, she is a scriptwriter, producer and director. I went to a talk with her last year and from then on we've always had constant communication. Pat Higgins, he is a friend of my sister and he also helps run Horror on Sea. So I'm going to go there, and I'm going to go there. I think it's January 20, somewhere in the 20s. I don't know. So I want to talk to him and actually get some more expertise on directing and how to handle actors. Megan Passingham, she is an old college friend of mine and she's one of my best friends. She messaged me a couple of weeks ago saying that she would do colour correction for free. As I will go on later, I will be paying her no matter what, because I feel like you should always pay your cast and crew. David Morgan, my great uncle, he is a musician, and I think, and he would say he would gladly help me with some university work if it's soundtrack or just one solo song. Me and Sam Upton have used some work from him before. Johnny Ripley, he used to be a university student here, and he is currently a cameraman for Channel 4. Also, I know a couple people who are cameramen on the BBC show Killing Eve. So I'm going to get some technological knowledge on how to use the cameras properly to reflect darker scenes or how I want shots to look and stuff like that. And also I've joined a Facebook group recently where it helps me with casting and crew, so I don't have to worry about stressing out about finding actors. I'm going to start now and then see if they're bad actors and stuff like that. Primary research, it's very bare bones on here, but it'll be more in detail in the actual portfolio. The survey was done using SurveyMonkey. So far, I think it's only, last time I looked, there were only 10 respondents, and most of them answered the same. And out of all the 10 people who answered, all 10 said that they would watch a sinister show or something like what I'm doing right now. The secondary research, again, still bare bones. It's going to be more detailed in the portfolio. I found out from the NHS, there are a lot of NHS references here. Hallucinations are very common in people who suffer from schizophrenia, and more specifically in a younger age, like our demographic. There are multiple drugs that have to be monitored, as some of them are Class C drugs. Again, one of my family members has to take pregabalin, and she can only collect it once a month because it is considered an addictive drug. And a few of the side effects for some certain drugs and antipsychotics: dry mouth, dizziness, and addiction to pills, like pregabalin. And that was from the gov.uk website. Here are some of the storyboards. I've decided to do the final scene and the first scene. Excuse my bad drawings. I've tried to incorporate some split screens. I've tried to keep it as claustrophobic as possible for everything that I've been doing. And the final scene pretty much just shows the roommate is not who they appear to be. Here, for some film poster ideas, I wanted to keep it as minimal as possible. So as I've said to Andy, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I liked the idea of minimalist storyboards. Like, look at Friday the 13th, the first one. It tells you everything that you need to know. You've got a murderer and you've got some victims in there, and it's in the woods. That sells you on the film and it's already there. Kill Bill, again, it's just a blood splatter across a yellow and black background, and then Trainspotting, and also Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. My script, first draft, I put all the scripts on here. It is 5 pages. However, it's going to be a more visual film, and yes, there will be like characterization and stuff like that, but I feel like the focus on visuals will also help with character development and other things. So I sent off the first script to Emily Cockerham. She pretty much says that she didn't like, because the original idea that I had was I wanted it to be a dark comedy, and she said it doesn't seem to fit with a dark comedy. If you just go sinister and add in a few jokes, then that will go with then that will help flow the script easier. I agree with what she says. So I also got some peer review on draft 1. As you can see, I'll quickly move on to draft 2 script ideas. I included the roommate, and that is currently being the second script idea. The second draft is being written, and the roommate is already incorporated. I've decided to include some uncomfortable scenes. I won't say them out loud because, and I've decided to properly cut out someone being hit by a car, mainly because health and safety, and because I don't have the budget. And also roommate and Dan talking about the pills. FMP development started all the way in February, which is like loads of different ideas that I've decided to mash together. Hopefully on the 3rd of March, the online premiere will happen. Budget, the estimate of the budget is £300–400, so cast and crew feel like they should always be paid. Fake blood, catering and travel, they're the things that just pop to mind. Locations, I've not properly started looking at, I have looked at locations, but I don't want to start going into it until the script is fully complete. Equipment, I want to use the Sony FS7 Mark II and the Sony lenses, and for backup I am going to be using the Canon XF305. I want to use a boom microphone, however if that doesn't work I want to use a shotgun Rode microphone, and the lighting setup. I've got lights at home and I could use some lighting setups from the university. Editing, Premiere Pro 2020 edition as well as After Effects. Again, as I said, split screen, and with the Bates Motel they like to do slow reveals and as I said, like shining, like slow burn stuff. Plan B, if everything all fails, I can easily change this into a documentary because I can easily get in contact with friends and family who've gone through like experimental things that have been done to them. Broadcasting, I want to be for the online streaming. I've decided to go for Vimeo, Facebook, Instagram TV, and YouTube. The first 3, completely fine. YouTube, however, it is not seen as professional in the industry, and Vimeo is what everyone looks at, what BBC, Channel 4, ITV, that's what they all look at. And the themes that I am putting out, it won't translate well to an American audience, so that's why I'm keeping it specifically to a British audience. Film festivals, Southend Film Festival, Horror on Sea, London Short Film, BAFTA Film Festival, and BFI London Film Festival. So I'm just keeping that up there for a little bit. And peer review. And then bibliography. Any questions? Yes.
Did you know that your idea sounds almost exactly the same as a film on the YouTube channel on the left side? I can send you the link to it, but it's almost the way the plot of the pills and the hallucinations are exactly the same.
Okay, I didn't know that.
That'd be interesting.
The one I showed you the other night, the opening.
That's it.
Okay, yeah.
I have a question. The Doctor and your main character, have you thought of having them be played by the same actor? Because that would be quite interesting. He's supplying his own.
I have thought of it because again, it will like incorporate that disorientation that I do want to have. So I did think about that. So I'm going to think through it a bit more. Yes.
Have you considered the ethical issues that could arise from doing?
Yes, that's going to be in the portfolio. Yeah.
Have you done research also into the fact that antipsychotics also leave a form of physical Tourette's behind after prolonged use?
Yes, again, that's also going to be in the portfolio because I did like 28 slides and I wanted to get through it quick and I didn't want to add like maybe 40 slides. Yeah.
What sort of colour palette are you thinking of doing?
Colour palette? I want it to be like warm oranges and blues, like when it comes to like the living room. However, when it comes to the doctor's office, I want it to be like really really like boring. So it's kind of like you've got a white room and it's just going to be filled with like blue light, like not overly blue, but it's just going to have
Sterile type.
yeah, like sterile.
Kieran?
Yeah, I was just wondering, have you thought about what sort of aspect ratio you may be shooting?
Aspect ratio, I've been looking at it. I don't know what aspect ratio, but I want to go with. I don't want to go with the traditional cinema aspect ratio because I feel like it will look. Again, it will go with the disorientation I want to do. So I feel like if I go for a different aspect ratio, it will not only confuse people, but it will also intrigue people more.
Okay, it was a good presentation. Well done, you. You've got a lot in there, so you put a lot of work into it, and it's great. You've been, this is another thing that everybody needs to apply themselves to do, making connections there. You've been speaking to Emily Cochran and obviously other people and Pat Higgins as well. It was like a forerunner for the Essex, type of horror and sea stuff. It was absolutely brilliant. But do you think it just needs a little bit of nurturing, the presentation itself? It just turns it tidying up. Just a couple of typos. Anybody else notice any kind of typos in there at all? Sam, pick up on anything?
Yeah, the shinning.
The shinning. So just small things like that, isn't it? That just creates that real sense of profession. But
because I noticed the shinning as soon as I looked at it. God damn it! So
but overall, I think it's really good presentation. Well done, you.